Well, hello, hello, hello. We come on a little early to make sure we've got all the technology working and to get myself in gear. First, the second, the third. And there go the beating hearts. Oh my. I just got back from a family birthday party. My sister turned 80. She's the baby. And I'm the eldest at 83. And there's no one else in my generation or any generation before mine who is older than me. There is one member of the family who is an aunt to me. She is my sister's. Wait a minute now. Let me get it straight. She is my mother's cousin. My mother's cousin. So she's a generation above me, but she is 60 years old, 59, I think, actually. And I'm, of course, 83. So I have an aunt who is 14 years younger than me. Now, sounds odd, but when you realize that my mother's father was the eldest of 12 children. And this woman is the first, no, she's the last born of the 12th child in my grandfather's family. So she was born, let me think how this works now. She was born after, well after my mother was born. And her mother is my mother's aunt. So she is cousin to my mother. Oh, golly, my mother would be 90, 40 years, 30 years, 30 years later. She's 30 years younger than my mother as a cousin. Very strange family. Delightful woman, Irene. Just a delight. So happy she was at the birthday party today. We have an extended family, and it was nice to be able to get together with a bunch of them. Oh, we are talking about fish. Mel Wool. Hello, Mel. Let's see. I need to jump down here. Oh, thin sage. Good way to get chlorine and chlorine out of tap water. Uh, I'm going to give you a clue. This is something I haven't done before. Um, Chlorine is easy. Chlorine you get out by stirring the water. It gases off. When the chlorine molecules come in contact with air, they gas off. So by moving the water, all of the water will eventually come in contact with the air and poof, the chlorine will be gone. That can happen in a matter of minutes. In point of fact, I use a hose and I spray the water when I live where there's chlorine. I spray the water into the tank, causing the chlorine to gas off before it even gets into the tank. That's chlorine. Chloramine is another issue. Chloramine is a compound molecule combining ammonia and chlorine. Now, ammonia is bad and chlorine is worse. So when you put the two, but, ammonia gases off and chlorine gets absorbed by plants or whatever. But when you put them together, nothing can get to them. They are locked in and permanently affixed, and they will kill anything that comes within their purview. They are the ultimate nasty. There is a key. And it's really a rather, oh golly, a rather delightful one, really. Vitamin C. Vitamin C tablets. Vitamin C tablets, which I don't take anymore because they give me kidney stones. Vitamin C tablets will break the ammonia molecule, the ammonia chlorine molecule. It'll split it, allowing the ammonia to pass off and the chlorine to be absorbed. Now, I sell sodium biosulfate, which is a toxic material that is dangerous to handle that will get rid of chloramine. I really should discontinue selling it because, frankly, it's dangerous. You get a whiff of this. I mean, one time it's a virtual dust. So you get messing with it, and it's in the air all around you. And if you're indoors, your goose is cooked. You're done. It's gonna burn and make you cough and gag. Just nasty stuff. You have to deal with it outdoors. I recommend you pour the whole thing into water, turn it into a liquid, and then deal with it. What I really need to do is start selling vitamin C tablets. I mean, really, it is the simplest fix in the world. Now, I do not have a formula for their use, but I'm rather certain that it would be really difficult to overdose with vitamin C. Could be wrong, but that's my take on the matter. Anyway, there's getting rid of chlorine and chloramines. Fish Fam Link is here. Hello, Fish Fam Link. Nice to see you. Delightful to meet you guys at the Clash. That was great fun. Rogerio Lima. Buenorte. Buenorte. Good evening to you, sir. Delighted to have you here. The ultimate noob who needs a wrench says, I'm glad I found your channel. Set up my first planted with the father fish method, and everything is thriving. This is Brian from Discord. Bravo, Brian. Good job. Tito or Tito Welds. Hello, Tito. Jenny Felix. Get Jenny a wrench and answer Jenny's question. How often do you feed a community tank with food well established, 36-gallon boat front, about 30 small fish? Interesting question. Jenny, if you really want to know technically what to do there are two approaches to take. One is to use a product like the well, I've got two. I've got golden pearls, which I'm going to be putting in my website, and I'll sell it. But a better deal is I'll also explain where you can buy it in larger quantities, cheaper. And the other is the food that I'm selling online, which I now have I have one listed. Let me get a flyer here. This is Ottoheim food. I'm selling a Ottoheim Harami. I'm selling a pellet, and I'm also selling a powder. It's a very fine product, specifically made for um, larvae, for larval fish. They're very, very, very tiny fish. Now, while I'm on this subject, something came up with it. And I'm glad it came up because it is an issue I want to address. In a recent video, I took issue with much of what is produced as fish food. And I took issue specifically with the filler that is used in so many of them. Cornmeal is a primary one. There are a few others. They are inedible. They have no food value to fish at all. Now this contains meals. Doesn't contain cornmeal. It contains krill meal, which is a shrimp, squid meal, which is a fish, wheat flour, potato starch, corn starch, tapioca starch, wheat flour, fish oil, calcium phosphate, astaxanthin, calcium carbonate, betaine, plant gum, and licorice plant, along with wheat germ. Now, wheat germ is a binder, and it is the most effective binder of all of the meals and grain products for being able to bind the food together. And it's used virtually universally in quality foods. It's not used at all in low quality foods. So, what is it that makes this stand out? First of all, it's all of the animal product meals that they virtually do not exist in other fish foods. Can't find them. Secondly, it is the use of licorice plant. Aha! What is it about licorice plant? Well, it makes fish crazy hungry. It is it's amazing stuff. All of this is based on a very interesting reality, which is that the Japanese culture has been feeding fish synthetic foods for upwards of 2,000, more likely 1,500 years. They have been developing foods for fish for 1,500 years. They know what they're doing. They produce the very best fish foods in the world. There are no better fish foods than are produced by quality Japanese aficionado. Aficionados. So that's the answer to the question. Came up a couple of times. Fair question. Appreciated hearing it. Needed to get that little tidbit out. Now, if nonetheless you are a father fish purist and you absolutely will not tolerate anything that smacks of a composite material, then you need golden pearls. Golden pearls, which contain ingredients so tiny I can't even read it. Where are my glasses? Ah, yeah, there. All right. Going to give you the ingredients for golden pearls. Here we go. Marine fish krill, fish roe, soy lecithin, yeast autoalysate, microalgae fish gelatin, squid meal, hydrogenated vegetable fat, vitamins and minerals, and antioxidants. So notice that there really are no meals in this. The primary ingredient is shrimp, krill. The other ingredients allow it to bind as a granulated product. This particular one is 1 to 200 microns in size. It is a virtual powder, and it comes finer than this. And it is a delight to feed. It is another one of those foods that are utterly irresistible to fish. So, the alternative to all of this, of course, is a food web. A food web. A food web is live food. It is all the little squigglies and wigglies that live in your water. Well, not your water. Live in outdoors water. Live in wild water. And we teach you in other venues quite how to keep this, how to keep it, how to culture it, how to feed it. It is not simply the best food there is, it is the primary food for all small fish. When you see fish, if you put plants in your tank, how do you dose the vitamin C? I wish you would not have asked. I don't have a dosage for it. If you get it in tablet form, dissolve the tablets. Preferably, well, it doesn't matter what to dissolve them in. Dissolve them in whatever you dissolve them in and dump it in the water. I don't think you can overdose very easily with vitamin C. But you want to be reasonable about it. I would do one tablet, and if they're, how do they come? 100 grams or something. One tablet per 5 gallons. That's not going to get you in any trouble, and it'll for sure it'll for sure break the chloramine bond. Now, I haven't experimented with this. I don't have any information on dosage. I will dig it out and try to find it, because frankly, I'd like to get away from the extreme toxin that I'm selling now to get rid of chloramine. Chloramine is a scourge. There is no justification for it. They use it to prolong the life of the chlorine. Chlorine will last as long as it is not introduced to oxygen. You don't introduce it to the air, and it's going to stay in the water. Anyway, where was I? Was talking about microfauna. Ordered plants this last Monday that didn't make it to my house. Tomorrow makes a week. Will they survive? Joyce, what is that? Joyce Guerrero. That name rings a bell. Let me look up your order here, Joyce. Guerrero. Guerrero. Joyce Guerrero. Val and carpeting. 2585, October 2nd. Ordered plants this past Monday. Need to go, so get all orders. Apparently there's an earlier order. Monday, September 13th. That would have been delivered. All right, my dear. You ordered Monday the 2nd. That was last week. That should have actually been packed out. 2585. That's curious. I think it was. It says in transit. Huh. Well, it hit Houston today. It was shipped out on Tuesday. You should have gotten it Thursday. Yeah, it's going to be in the box. It will have been in the box for a week if you get it tomorrow. Tomorrow makes a week, right? Will they survive? They may not. Some of them may not. Some will, but some may not. Depends on the weather, but that's a long time in the box. So here's what you do, Joyce. If they come in and they're in rough shape, send me a picture. And if you will pay the $10 shipping, if they're in bad shape, if you will pay the $10 shipping, I will send you a new batch. That way we both get bitten a little bit by the USPS incompetence over there. It happens. It does not happen often. Maybe 1% of the shipments that I ship out, this happens to. They just somehow seem to get lost in the shuffle. I don't know what it is, and I don't know why the Postal Service cannot correct that problem. I guess it's just a human failure somewhere along the line. But I do make that deal with anyone who gets material that is not in good condition, if not prime condition. Generally, it's going to be in prime condition. If it is less than good condition, I will replace it. That's my guarantee. If it arrives in a timely fashion and it is not in prime condition, I will replace it at my cost. If it arrives after it should and it's in bad condition, I will replace it if you will share the burden with me to the extent of paying the $10 shipping fee. There is the very first item on the list of products is a $sign that allows you to cross my palm with silver. send a little money to cover these kinds of issues. So let's hope it works out, Joyce, but you're not I'm not gonna let you be harmed if it doesn't. Jenny, let's see, let me back up a little. Victoria Yershova says I'm amazing. No, I'm 83. 83 is amazing. All right. And Jenny Felix. Tito Wells, hello, Jenny Felix. How often do you feed a community tank with food web established? Yeah, we just asked this. We just read this. The answer is you really need to watch the things. Yeah, I got off on a side trip about fish foods. Do a poop patrol. Observe your fish and make sure they are pooping. If they are pooping, that means they are eating. Now, what are they eating? If you're not putting food in there, what they're eating is the food web that you've introduced, both by putting this wet leaf emulsion in, but also by putting live plants in. Live plants are covered in microfauna and various edible algae. They're microscopic, so you don't see them, but they are there. And that is what your small fish are eating when they're pecking on the plants. They're eating the algae, the microalgae, and they're eating the microfauna that's living on those plant leaves. So, what the answer is, observe the fish and see how they're doing. If there's any question, any doubt about it, then supplement with the food. But generally speaking, if you have a good food web and you have lots of live plants, it will be difficult for your fish to go hungry. Molly Roses, I would buy vitamin C tablets from you if you sold them. You are a dear. And I might do that. I don't know. We'll have to see. I now have 50 items in my store. It's starting to get a little out of hand because I have to manage these 50 items. I have to be able to keep them in a way that keeps them healthy. I have to. I want to say something. This is rather significant. Certain amount of plants I keep in tanks. I have half a dozen tanks here in my house, and I keep plants in there that I sell. So I'll be rooting in these tanks every week, pulling plants out and then planting new ones. Do that with all my tanks. That accounts for maybe 10 of the 50 plants that I keep. The others I order, I get them. They are collected from the ponds they're growing in on Monday. They are shipped to me on Tuesday. No, they're collected on Monday and shipped. I get them on Tuesday. They have been living wild in the pond the day before. I get them on Tuesday. I ship them out priority on Tuesday, the same day I get them. Typically, they arrive in 2 days, sometimes 3 days. But as you can see, sometimes they rarely get there at all. I'm doing enough volume that I can afford to guarantee those that don't get there at all. It is incidental enough that it doesn't really affect my bottom line and it's in a substantial way. So I'm happy to be able to do that. Last Box Hero is making an interesting point. says with humans, any excess vitamin C is removed through urination, preventing overdose. I don't know of anything related to this and fish. The question is it going to become a toxin in the water column? Because it doesn't really get into the fish so much unless it becomes toxic. So the question is, at what point does vitamin C become toxic in water? And I don't have an answer for that. I don't even know that it does. I'm sure it does. I'm sure if I dumped an entire bottle of vitamin C into a fish tank, everything would be dead within probably an hour. But I don't know that. I mean, I would never do that. Never. No, never. I would never do that. So this requires research. Mattis Factory says, just to my left, I see two leopardinias in my 10-gallon dancing. I think it's egg time. Bravo. Bravo. Oh, and Danios are a delight to grow out. They are the most populous fish in the hobby, beating out any other fish. They are raised in larger quantities than any other fish because they're so easy to spawn. They throw so many eggs, and they're easy to hatch and easy to grow. It is the reason the Danio was selected to become a neon fish, a glowfish. Not by the hobby, but by a laboratory that needed a marker fish. You don't know what a marker fish is. It is a fish that's treated a certain way and then put back into a mixed population to be able to track it to know whether its behavior is unique from the other fish in the population. That's a marker fish. It was created as a marker fish and had immediate desirability in the hobby and has been bred. I need to get my buddy Bill back on here so we can talk more about breeding fish. He is probably the most famous and the most reputable fish breeder in the country, and maybe globally. He has literally raised more than 1 billion fish. I think that's right. A very big number of it. Very, very more than 100 million. Many more than 100 million. And he did it as working on a farm, running the breeding operation for um, D. What's it called? Uh, D something D farm. It'll come to me. Anyway, working as the breeder for a very large farm that shipped and continues to ship all over the world. He worked for them for many years. I've had him on before. We talked about the white list that Florida was going to try to put through that got shot down. We've got another one coming up. Same one that came up last year is coming up again. Old cutie Ruby Cube, Ruby the Cube, has decided he wants to be the savior of the world and ban the importation of everything except those items that are the most popular, which includes, of course, the most devastatingly invasive species in the world. Those he doesn't mind because they're popular. What he will not allow is the delicate little fish that couldn't possibly survive outside the diligent care of dedicated and devoted hobbyists and scientists concerned about the, the, the continued existence of that little fish. Those need to be abandoned. They should be abolished. They should never be allowed to enter the country because they're dangerous, you see. What's dangerous is Ruby Cube. He's dangerous. He's a little prince, and he thinks of himself as a king, and he ain't neither. And he needs to get off his high horse and get some reality in his blood so that he knows what's good and what's bad, because frankly, he doesn't know. He's fundamentally ignorant. He is an ignorant fool who is convinced he is the genius. And most ignorant fools are convinced they're geniuses. I shouldn't say that. That's probably not true. Those that are. Those who are geniuses or consider themselves such, more often than not, is this true, are idiots. That probably is true. It certainly is true in his case, because he is an idiot who believes that banning everything in the world will somehow save something. He doesn't know what he's saving. He doesn't know what the danger is. He just wants to. It's the ultimate NIMBY. You know what NIMBY is? He is the Karen of NIMBY. Enough said about Ruby Cube. Let's move on. Michael Haslam. Hello, Michael. Happy to see you. Gonna give you a wrench. Michael says, I love you, mate. Having a lot of problems? I'm going to use your knowledge. Go for it, Michael. And for you and anyone else who is looking for help, we have a source for you. A source of help that you can use anytime, night or day. We have operators standing on duty, ready and waiting to help you at the Fatherfish Show. And I'm going to give you the link for that in about 15 seconds because I got to get it up here and I got to click, then I got to click again, 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 and then I got to paste it right there. It is. Join us at Discord on the Fatherfish Show. It is an amazing place, and it's getting better all the time. Shifty Mac, have I ever raised Triops? I have. And I've managed to get a couple of them up to adult. The biggest problem with raising Triops, if you don't know what a Triops is, it's a shrimp that lives in the desert. That's true. Lives in the desert. Lives in rain pools in the desert. The egg that it lays may lay dormant for years before there's rain again, enough for that egg to hatch. And it grows into this strange looking creature. Looks a little like they get about an inch. Not quite, probably an inch, but pretty good size. They look a little like a horseshoe crab, like an elongated horseshoe crab. but they're tiny, and they don't have the long tail. They have more like a lobster tail or a shrimp tail. They're very cool critters. There is a problem with them, and the problem is they're cannibals. They eat each other. They're born into an environment that is so poor in nutrients that their only hope is to grow up by eating each other. It's true. Very few other elements in there. Very little else around. A little algae that may crop up. Maybe a few macrofauna, not much, and them. So it'll start out with a pool full of maybe 1,000 of them, and they'll gobble each other up until there are half a dozen left. And by this time, they're bloated with eggs. The males are busy chasing the females with their eggs. They latch onto them. They lay their eggs, and the rest of the water evaporates. And they sit there. But the eggs will stay there and stay viable for 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, until it rains again. And then they go through this utter mad scene all over again. It's a hell of a way to have to live, I think. But that's a triumph. Neat animals. Psychoplant lady. Should be able to get the fish we want. Amen to that. And it ain't just that either. It's also the fact that if they pass this thing, it will be doomsday for the rarest, most endangered microfish in the world, because all of them are protected today by virtue of sustainable harvesting. Take that away, those lands get mined, they get deforested, they get farmed, and every one of those animals disappear from the face of the earth. That's one thing. I mean, there are countless reasons for this to be demonstrably a bad bill. Another simple one is, of the 30,000 species of animals that are passed through, dealt commercially in the state of Florida on an annual basis, how many do you think are genuinely invasive species? How many? 100? That would be high. 50? Still high. 25? More like a dozen. 12 animals out of 30,000 that are trafficked every day have been able to establish niches in the Florida environment and are a danger to native species. They're known. They are all known. And steps are taken to the extent they can be taken to eradicate them. Another little interesting side note is that every single one of those species were introduced with the full cooperation of the state of Florida, FWC, Florida Wildlife Commission, as either solutions to a given problem or an animal that could not possibly create a problem. The potential for any given pair of animals to be released deliberately or incidentally into a foreign environment, the potential for them to establish a breeding colony is zero. There is no potential for that to occur. It cannot happen. The percentages for it to actually occur are so infinitesimally small as to be of no consequence whatsoever. To my knowledge, there is only one species that has not been deliberately put into the environment that has caused a problem in the environment. And some of you who are in the know will know what that is. The rest will never in this world guess what it is. It is a rare and beautiful fish. But as with many beautiful things, it's a nasty bugger. Doesn't get big, maybe 3 to 4 inches tops. Doesn't get bigger than that. Little tiny fish, about that big. There's only one. It's the jewel fish, the African jewel fish. There are tilapia that are now banned, now that they're established. There are red ear sliders that for years were approved. They're in Louisiana and they've been made in Florida. Now you tell me, how long does it take for a turtle to walk from Louisiana to Florida? Might take a while. Is it going to happen? You betcha. Pond to pond to pond, generation to generation to generation until it lands there. I mean, you don't stop that kind of thing. It is a natural function of the animal expanding its range as it's able to do so. The whole issue, the whole issue requires intelligence. And that's what is fundamentally lacking. And all of these asinine laws that get passed by the government because by a bunch of, we need to do something. So what they do is something. They do something, which always backfires, which always results in, unintended consequences. Who knew? Who knew? Well, who knew was anybody who actually understood what was being done. That's who knew. The people who did it didn't know because they didn't understand what they were doing, did they? And that's what happens far too often. We're going to do something wonderful. And it ain't wonderful. It turns out to be a disaster. We're in the midst of that in our economy right now. Utter and thoroughgoing disaster being brought upon us by people seeking to do something wonderful. 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 Lord, preserve us from the wonderful herbs. We really cannot tolerate them. All right, enough of that for a while. We should be able to keep the fish we want. Couldn't agree with you more, Cycle Lady. Love a good father fish fry. We need to make sure we get that one. Need to get that one. Triops. What should the texture of the mud be for resurrection jars? Jay Hines, glad you asked the question. I made a big mistake in the very first video I did on resurrection jars, where I talked about gathering a handful of mud. I used the word mud. The word muck would have been better. Even better would have been mulm. That would have been even better. Even better than that would have been mucky leaves. Mucky leaves. That's what you want. Don't use mud. There are people who do and they've gotten away with it. But everyone who has had a problem setting it up had a problem because they put mud in and it was too intense for the small amount of water in the jar, and so it fouled. So don't use mud, use a small amount of yucky leaves. Wet mulmy leaves, because they contain all of the microfauna that you want in the tank or in the jar without getting involved in a lot of bubble, toil, and trouble going on that's going to create a nauseous mess that your wife is going to insist be banned from the house. And that'll make it difficult to do it the right way the next time. So, no mud. Thank you for the question, Jay Hines. Did I give you a wrench? I did. Arian Bawana. Hello, hello. Harry. Lido, Idaho. Jay Hines, you're very welcome, Jay. Barbara G. I think I watched that video. Yes, it was a mess, right? The idea was right. I just didn't get the right language. But we have corrected that. Unfortunately, yeah, I've been at this now for almost 4 years, I think. It feels like almost 4 years. Might be 3. I think it's 4. I am not in the same place today I was in 4 years ago. So when you watch a video that's 4 years old, you really need to update and get some of the current videos, which may very well say things different from what I was saying 4 years ago. Now, I don't want to get rid of all of those because they're part of the history of the channel. But please bear that in mind. The most obvious sign of that is the quality of the videos, which is better today. It ain't excellent, but it is better today than it was even a year ago, much less 4 years ago. 4 years ago, you couldn't hardly make out what I was saying for the sound of the birds and the pumps in the background music. Mostly the birds. Meet my family. Hello, my family. I'm dandy. How are you? Don't forget the lime, Leto says. Lime is good. Lime is important. I agree with you. Do I use magnolia seed pods? I don't know about magnolia. I use magnolia. I've not used magnolia. I've used the other ones. What are they called? The spiky seed pods. I have a tree nearby where I collected a bushel of them last fall. I need to go back and get another bushel because I'm running out of them. When I make up a bag of miracle mud, a bag of live culture, I'm so far doing little bags, I've decided to make it bigger. I'm going to make the bag a little bit bigger. I include leaf mulch in it, no mud. Leaf mulch, a little bit of guppy plant type plant, kabamba kind of plant, a little bit of floating plant like salvinia or duckweed, a seed pod, and anything else that I have growing in I have these in tubs. I've got a half a dozen tubs that are all enriched with leaf mulch that I've gone out and collected and put in there to be able to hold it and keep it alive. So I'm trying to find ways to make to make these little containers of mulch, of live material, more interesting and more varied. So as you get them, I mean, it's just part of what I'm talking about. Everything is everything is hopefully improving, hopefully getting better. Hopefully it's not getting worse. I may be getting worse, but I don't think. No, I don't think I am. I think I'm getting better. I hope I'm getting better. I know I'm getting better. I'm getting better, and everything along with it that's coming along with me is getting better. So hold me to task for what I am doing today or what I did last month or the month before. Don't hold me to task for what I did 4 years ago because I don't like it any better than you do. And if you make me condemn my own product, you're asking a lot. Anyway, dumbest smart people or smartest dumb people. I don't know which. Keep getting cloudy water, 6 Speed says. Tank 2 months old. If a slightly touch of sand gets even worse. Okay. Add sand. You need to add more sand. Your sand is too thin. Uh, Also, make sure you're using a sand. I've had some sands that I've used that have been very. They've had a lot of clay in them, I guess. They've been kind of dusty, sort of infirm, sort of almost muddy. Try to get a good clean sand, like a beach sand, a desert sand, a swimming pool filter sand, something that's well washed and clean and firm as your cap sand. That's going to hold you in much better stead. I've got a couple of tanks here. I put some sand in when I set them up, and it was more like mud than sand. It was a local sand I got from a local sand mine, and it was not wonderful stuff. I got some better sand and put it on top of that, and that resolved the issue. So you might consider that. Add an inch of good quality sand to the top of that. See if it makes a difference. If it doesn't, do it one more time. If that doesn't, then I come on over to Discord and we'll look at it and figure out what's going on. Meet my family needs a wrench. Oh, we already go. All right, Shifty Mac. Father Fish says organic material is essential in the substrate and plenum is not essential. When I asked Novak why he doesn't use organic material under the laterite, he said it isn't necessary. That's interesting. I think the issue is that Novak's systems are designed to last for a year because the laterite becomes fully, what's the word I want? It absorbs its full capacity in about a year and has no more capacity for absorption. Now, at that point, what he has is an organic substrate. If he capped that with sand, he would have a genuinely effective organic substrate natural system. It takes about a year for a system to become a fully organic system. Typically, however, that's the point where he breaks it down. It's the same problem as the undergravel filter guys. Once the filter gets all of the material in it packed in to the point where water can no longer flow through it, that's the point where it becomes a really effective system. You cap that with an inch of sand, you've got gold. But that's not what they do. What they do is tear it up, break it down, and start all over. Right at the point where they finally achieve something worth keeping, they bust it up. Ooh, what's this? Tioga has a $10 Rialto or something donation. Thank you so much, Tioga. Appreciate your generosity. Understand that's worth $1,000 US. That's pretty generous. I'm teasing. Teasing. That's a nasty tease. I should take that back. Shame on you, Foxwell. Shame. Sometimes Father Fish gets to be a smartass. Ah, all right. Thank you, Tioga. Appreciate your kindness and your generosity. We had where? Oh, there it is. Okay. To do to do. I used the sand that was dug up when they dug our well. Aha! Excellent. So that was a strata of sand. Probably absolutely perfect. Probably so. I ordered a 2-pack of the stem plants from you yesterday. If I get 20 different sorts for 150, is that too many? 20. Well, I'm only doing medium swords these days. I decided I just can't stand the confusion of trying to get small, medium, large, and 10 different species of swords. So I'm just doing mediums. So 20 medium swords for a 150-gallon tank. That's a 6-foot tank. It's not too many. It's not too many. It's a lot. It's a lot. But if your effort is to plant the tank out fully, then it's something I wish I would have done. Wish I would have had the resources to do. I did a lot of much larger swords, big 2-foot mother swords. I would put half a dozen of them in a 150-gallon tank. So 20 mediums, they're like 10 inches or so. That's not too much. Not too much. And I can mix that up too. I've got, I think, coming in this week, I've got 5 different species. So we can do a nice mix and it'll look really wonderful. Tioga, there was somebody else. Where'd he go? There it is. Scott Stankovich, $10 super chat, says, question of the night, evaporation. You know our tanks, and most have floating plants. To cover the tank cover or not to cover? That is the question. And why? Thank you very much, Father Fish, in advance. Have a great day. I prefer to cover. I cover. And the reason I cover is to substantially reduce evaporation. I don't believe that evaporation in and of itself is a bad thing. If you're topping off every week, maintaining the level, it's certainly not a bad thing. I just don't want to have to haul the hose out and top off every tank every week. So I cover my tanks, all of them. I don't think I've got an open tank. Oh, I do. I have one open tank. It's the tank the axolotls are in. And the reason it's open is because I don't want to hold heat in it. I want heat to rise up and dissipate. I want it to remain as cool as possible. I have it down low in the room. I've got the top open. I have it bubbling actively. And so far it's working. It's staying in the low 70s, which is about where I want it to be. That's the only exception. Everything else is pretty much buttoned up tight, with the exception of this. And I just haven't found a piece of glass yet, although I discovered where I can get it. This, oh, you can see it. Can't really see it. It is a refrigerator shelf. If you can locate a source for refrigerator shelves, and while you're at it, get the drawers, because they're good too. The refrigerator shelf is tempered glass that is either smoothed on the edge or has a plastic edge so you can't cut yourself on it. It is magnificent glass. It is wonderful glass. It's quarter inch, or it's not quarter inch. It's less than that. It's double plate, so it's strong. It's tempered, which makes it even stronger. And if you can get it, you can get it for nothing. Refrigerator shelves. Magnificent piece of glass. I finally found a warehouse about 20 miles from me up in Delaware that deals in used refrigerators. And I am chomping at the bit to get there to see how many of these shelves and drawers I can score. Meet my family. Hey. You know what? I think I know who this is. They're saying, hey, Lou. I was at a birthday party today, and some of my nieces and nephews were going on with me about their fish tank they're having trouble with. So I told them that I was going to be on tonight to jump on and talk about it. That may be who that is. Already got fry rack with fridge containers. Yes, indeed. Perfect. Perfect. The drawers are perfect. Nice. Barbara G., your microculture with yeast and rice. Do we mist on top daily when feeding yeast? How long before you see life? You should see life in there immediately. You'll begin to see a shimmering at early stage, a shimmering, how to say this, a shimmering kind of a cover that will expand to the entire surface and then begin climbing the walls. When it climbs the walls, let me see if I got some. I do. I've got two different kinds, and I can't get out of here. Oh, hold on. Oh, God. Let's see. Which one do I want to show off? Neither of them look spectacular, but this one's pretty good. I got microworm and I've got banana worm. This is microworm. Now, look on the sides. That is worms. You can almost see them moving. You can see them moving. See them moving? They're crawling around. The entire bottom is covered in them. Now, to harvest them, I use a little paintbrush. Right now, I've got a toothbrush, but it works, but it's not quite as good. Little paintbrush. If you get some of the stuff in the bottom, it won't hurt a thing. You should never need to mist it. It should be moist enough. You can see this, see it moving. It's pretty moist. That's maybe a little moister than I would like it. Um, but I don't want to leave the lid off. I have these perforated lids. I don't know if you can see this. Yeah. I got these from um, a wingless fruit fly supplier. The guy who sells frogs, any place that sells frogs, will have these. I could probably list them. I've got a supply of them here. And that's, of course, a 1 quart container. There are two different sizes of these. These lids don't fit all of them, they fit only one type. Anyway, that's the deal. And you just wipe this off with a little paintbrush and feed them. And if you get a little bit of the muck in there, that's okay too, because the fish will eat that as well. Should not need to mist it. It should not be that dry. If it is, then add a little moisture, but you should not need to do it daily at all. And when you feed yeast, I feed once a week. You do that according to what works for you. Um, this one has been set up for about 2 weeks, and it's just starting to work up on the side. I've actually fed once with it, and it's about ready to do it again. It should come up much higher. There, you can see. You can see more there. See him moving? Is it cold or what? Oh my word! Amazing. Dooby doo. Moving right along. I have a fancy goldfish with weather loaches and platies. Is that okay? I don't know. Meet my family. Is that okay? It's a working out. I mean, it's okay if it's okay. A lot of worms. It's a lot of worms, but they're tiny little worms. Meet my family is in Ireland. Ah, nice to meet you in Ireland. Barbara G. There is life there, you bet. Mattis Factory. Speaking of Java ferns, was I speaking of Java ferns? Have I lost track of my mind that I don't remember speaking of Java ferns? Nevertheless, speaking of Java ferns, I see new plantlets growing on a few of my ferns in my temperate water tank, the Leopardania mating grounds. New plants and new eggs make for a happy day. Da, da, da. About that, about that. If you have a fern, a Java fern leaf that breaks off, do not discard it because that leaf will grow new plants. If you leave it in there, you will begin to see a new plant growing right on the edge of that leaf. Andrew, we got that. We got that. I wasn't Mattis Factory. I'm confused. Didn't know this about Java. Oh, yes. Andrew Foley in the 600. In the 600. Bring something to mind. Sort of. Was it a joke? I don't remember. It is the expression of a comment unassociated with anything prior in conversation. Oh, I know what it came from. Again, it is blue stones by the water during a rising sun, or she threw blue stones in the water at sunrise. Do you know? It was a Star Trek show, where they were trying to figure out the conversation, the language of of people who spoke what appeared to be in parables or stories. And what they understood finally, eventually, was that every story was a reference to an actual event, which evoked that event. So when the conversation came around to a given story expressing a given event, it paralleled whatever was under discussion at the time. That's confusing, isn't it? Get off of that. YFI. I think I converted another lost one, offered him enough soil for a small tank to see the wonderment for himself. Bravo. Bravo. That is the way the war is won. We win the war one soul at a time, one convert at a time. How many, how many, how many fish keeping friends have you convinced to put dirt in their tank? Not many, I found, not many, but some. And how did it fare with those some? Oh, they loved it. They loved it. It was the best tank they ever had. Uh-huh. Have they now sought to convince their fishy friends to put dirt in their tanks? You know what? I had a vision, not just a vision. I had an aha eureka experience looking at some of the videos, the clips that are being posted every day on our Discord channel. And I began to notice something. The appearance of a natural tank is unique. And it is immediately apparent that it is a living natural aquarium. Now, I'm not sure I really get what it is I'm seeing and how it is I know that. But it's visually apparent that a natural tank, that a given tank is a natural tank. You can tell by looking. I believe we need to investigate this a good bit more. Because if that's true, and I know that it is, because I've seen it, if that's true, as that is true, that means we are achieving something unique and remarkable in the hobby, which sets those tanks apart from every other kind of tank. And I know it's true. Part of it is the wild growth of the plants. That's part of it. The natural behavior of the fish. The, the organic activity or appearance of the substrate. The clarity of the water. It's all of that put together that paints a picture of an aquarium that is a slice of life. Somebody said that they were looking at this tank. They said that's a slice of an Amazon river, or more like an Amazon rain pool, I guess, or flooded bank. But yeah, it's a slice of nature. You look at this and you know there's something utterly natural about it. And we need to be able to define precisely what that is. We know it when we see it, but can we describe what it is we're seeing? That's, I guess, is the issue. And I'm not sure I can, but I sure know it when I see it. Fishing Man 0479, get you a wrench. And he says, how about an under-gravel filter? Wouldn't that increase biological filtration by pulling even more water through the substrate, also increasing plant nourishment? No, no. And the reason is that what goes in must come out. If you're driving water through, it's also driving water out. The same water that's driving through is being driven out. So all you're really doing is stirring up all of the detritus that's in that substrate and bringing it out into the water column. May filter a little bit, but you're filtering how much? 2 inches, 1 inch, 3 inch, whatever it is. It's not 6 or 8 or 10 feet. If you were filtering through that much, yeah, it would come out the other end crystal clear. But through an inch or two of not sand but gravel, there is no filtering going on. There is simply a constant flow of nutrients throughout the entire system. CN5, Plant Lady. Fishing Man 0479. Good question, nevertheless. I gave you a wrench already. Okay, good. Getting ahead of myself. Chloe, 4453. I use a turkey baster and take mosquito larvae out of a bird bath. Is there any risk of polluting the fish as the bird poop in the water? No. In point of fact, the bird poop in the water will act as nutrient for the plants and other microfauna in the tank. So you will be feeding not only mosquito larvae to the fish, you'll be feeding bird poop to the micro and the macro fauna. So it's all good, all good. Darb wire, the lack of neon. There you go. There's one of those expressions. It's the lack of neon with no reference. And I had to go back and dig out the reference to find out what in the world he's talking about. And he usually can't do it. Apart from fish, there's another one. I should not go back and look at anything because it makes me crazy. Shifty Mac, Pearl Gourami, spawning as we speak. Now that I got, that's clear. I've got maybe the next one. There's another one, Scott's Stinkovich. One substrate at a time. Got that. Darbwire says, Father Fish, a power head can replace a sponge filter or an air stone? Question mark. Where would you position it in a 20 gallon to make sure the sand accomplishes filtration? The sand is going to accomplish filtration if you do absolutely nothing. So what you don't want to do is to aim this power head directly at the sand, because that'll make matters worse. If you're going to do one power head, I don't do power heads in freshwater tanks. I do them in saltwater tanks, where Water movement is absolutely critical. Water movement is not nearly as critical in freshwater tanks. And in point of fact, if you have any other kind of filtration, a hang on the back or a sponge filter or just an air stuff, then you probably have adequate water movement. I would use it in a very large tank where there is a serious question about water movement. I would never use a power head in a small tank. It will create far more turbidity, far more activity that is needed or is healthy for the fish. Unless you have fish that live in streams where you really want a flow. And in that case, you need to find a way to do that, to create a flow, either this kind of flow or this kind of flow that will allow those fish to live in the flow, which is their normal condition. Most of the fish we have in the hobby are effectively pond fish, or they live in very slow moving water, so slow that they're not fighting the current. Okay, I'm going to jump to the bottom here. Have you ever had Creventus dig too deep, evacuating their cave to bring up dirt from under the sand cap? No, I never have. They don't dig very deep. What they try to do is get under a rock, and they'll dig deep enough to get their bodies in there, which is maybe half an inch, a little better, probably not 3/4 of an inch, but that at tops 3/4 of an inch. They're only trying to get under there so they can lay their eggs and protect them. If you have a cave, they won't need to do that. They'll use the cave because it's a lot less labor intensive and it gives them what they need, which is the roof of a cave. Lots of folks on Facebook having issues with cyanobacteria and are increasing water flow as a means of fighting it. Cyanobacteria is a stage in a process. It is not a problem in and of itself. It is not something that needs to be gotten rid of. It is something that needs to be compensated for. It exists by virtue of a given condition in the tank. Simply increasing water flow does nothing to change the condition that has brought about the cyano. Typically, it's high nitrates. That's one cause. Reducing nitrates is a function perhaps of water changes, although even water changes does not control the buildup of nitrates. It may slow it down a little, but it doesn't control it. What controls it is plants. Planting more plants. The cyano is there because it is controlling nitrates. Getting rid of that increases nitrates. Leaving it in there and putting some other nitrate absorbers in, like other kinds of plants, will not only reduce nitrates, it will also reduce cyano. So, to recap, cyanobacteria is not in and of itself a danger in the tank. The condition that brought it about could be. What brings it about is an uncontrolled increase in nitrates, nitrification, if you will. Nitrification is the end step in the process of nutrients disintegrating being converted to ammonia, ammonia to nitrites, nitrites to nitrates. Reduce nitrates by the inclusion of plants. That's what they do. For plants, nitrates are nutrition. They're the foundation, along with CO2, the foundation of nutrition for plants, as is cyanobacteria. Nitrates are the foundation of nutrition for cyanobacteria. So engage in a little struggle by posing an alternative solution to the cyano. Treat cyano not as an enemy, but as a friend and a guest who you really don't want to stay permanently, but you're willing to house for a short time until you can get something better going. How many gallons per hour do you need per tank for a filter? That's a really good question. My intuition is to say none. Sponge filters, actually, sponge filters have a pretty high flow. And you increase the flow by adding a tube, a stand tube. You have a 2 to 3 inch tube on top of the sponge filter, it dramatically increases the flow by 2 to 3 times. I can't answer that question, but I think it's a good question. And I think the reality is that other than sumps, canisters, or hang on the back, there is no way to gauge that with a box filter or a sponge filter. I never really have tried. Let's see. In a very large tank, I know one sponge filter or one, whatever it is, filter is not going to be adequate. Not going to be adequate in what way? Well, it's not flowing enough water through it. So I use 2 or 3 to get enough flow through it to be able to capture everything I want to capture. I can't give you a numerical answer, but I can tell you you're on the right track. I solved the problem by feel, by an awareness of what's going on in the tank, rather than by actually knowing a number. So I guess I just have a different approach. Let's see, Maureen's Menagerie. You mentioned a betta breeder who is breeding less aggressive strain. Can you share that? I'm in Tampa Bay. Oh dear. No, I can't because I don't know it. I don't know the name of the breeder. Um, it's interesting. I'm drawing a blank, but I'll keep it. I'll keep it right here, and next time that comes around, I'll make a note of it and make sure to get back to you ladies about it. Russia sends love. Kelly Brown. Kelly needs a wrench and Russia needs a wrench. Let's get some wrenches going on here. Doobie doo. What time is it? 7:15. Kelly Lynn Brown See previous message. The one I just mentioned is not healing the pellets. Kelly and Brent. I got 5 fish from a friend. 1 survived. So I put sand and dirt, but the dirt is garden soil and has parts floating to the top. My water is still cloudy, but I have a filter but no air pump. Okay, Kelly. So you did this bootstrap. You bootstrapped a dirt tank, and it ain't working. Well, not too surprising. The first dirty tanks I did were bootstrap tanks, and they didn't work either. What I recommend you do is get on Discord and find it. It's asked for. It'll be made available right to you right away. The formula and the directions for creating a dirty tank. There are some steps that if you take will work 100% of the time, and you won't have any of those problems. For number one, you need a mix of soils. Number two, you need double the amount of sand cap as the depth of the soil. Number three, you need no more than 1 inch of soil in any tank under 55 gallons. So there's a couple of things right there you probably were unaware of that probably caused the problem you're having. You might solve it by adding more sand. Another inch of sand could solve the problem. That used to be my stock solution. In fact, where is it? I have the original. Where is it? Aha! Does anyone recognize this? It's the sand bell. Who recognizes the sand bell? This is going back a ways. This goes back with Mary. An inch of sand. And every time I said that, somebody rang a bell. It became a standard joke. The sand bell. And Lee made a sand cap. He got a baseball cap, put glue on it, and dipped it in sand. He got a sand cap. Cap it with sand. That was the stock solution. And it still is. But we have better formula now for the soil. So try to get to that source. If you can get to that, it'll make a world of difference to you. We do. Volcanics works. Don't forget to tap that button. Let's see how we're doing here. How are we doing with it? Tap, tap, tap. We have 124 watching and 94 thumbs up. I'm going to make it 95. Let's see if we can get over 100 real quick. See how many seconds it takes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It ain't moving. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. It looks like nobody's here hadn't already clicked it. Now, oh, all right. Sorry. It just jumped from 97 to 106. Good job. Good job, you guys. Richard Michael Rain is a tarpon. Richard has joined the show. He's joined the YouTube channel. Welcome, Richard. And thank you very much for your membership. Maureen's Menagerie says, think I fell off the boat? Did you say yeast? Who's eating the yeast? Who's eating the yeast? The bacteria are eating the yeast, or are the yeast bacteria? I think the bacteria are eating the yeast. Who's eating the bacteria? The worms are eating the bacteria. That's who's eating the yeast. Green water is very effective at many things. I don't like fair bottom tanks. You ain't allowed. MB17. What's your favorite type of fish to keep? Type of fish. Favorite. I think probably dwarf cichlids. I think probably ultimately dwarf cichlids are my favorite fish to keep. Do I have any? I've got two. I have apistogrammas and I have checkerboard cichlids. Oh, I did have some crebensis. I had a pair, lost the male, lost the fish. I put a half a dozen full-grown apisto males in a tank with my discus that had a breeding pair of crebensis, bigger crebensis. Thought they would be fine, pulled the male out. They lasted about a month. Pulled him out yesterday, I think, 2 days ago. He had expired. So the female, I expect, is still in there. I prefer rams to crebensis, although I like crebensis. And I've never really gotten seriously involved with Tanganyikas, but my gosh, I need to do that. I really need to do that. I need to take that stuff. I got plenty of hard water, no problem there. And I'd like to be able to get them in planted tanks to see how that goes. We're giving somebody a wrench here, anyway, who, but we'll do it MB17. Favorite fish. All right, jumping to the bottom. Kelly Lynn Brownie. Oh, yeah, we did this. And I gave her a wrench. And YouTube has not bestowed it upon her yet. Need to move down here. I'm way back, way behind. Greetings from Houston, Joyce Guerrero. Hello, Joyce. Nice to see you here. Preston Strobel and Master Black. Master Black is with us. Doom Pie. Doom Pie is here. Please do an update video on your turtle tank. Okay, but it's no longer a turtle tank. It is now a Killian Guppy and Pleco tank. The turtle has been banned to a tub outdoors so I can use it. I need more tanks. I only have 4, 5, 6, 7 tanks here in the house. I need at least another dozen. And I can't fit them anywhere. Got no place to put them. Start building tanks on top of tanks. Love your turtle tank. Well, you're going to love it. Well, here, I can tell you. Let's do a little tank tour, shall we? Tank tour coming up. Let's see if I can get the wire free without unplugging things. I can do it by knocking everything on the floor. I'm real good at that. All right, we're getting there. Okay, we're gonna do this. Need to untangle. One more tank. All right, here we go. Ta-da! That's where we're aiming. Let's start. Oh, glory! Let's start with the discus tank. Now, these are. I've mentioned this before. I need to mention again. Need to mention it every time I get them. These are Stendecker culls. 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 That means they're fish that were destined for the toilet but got rescued. So they are not high quality fish, they are low quality fish. Even so, you can see this guy is rather spectacular. This one, on the other hand, is rather troubled, as is that one. There is another one here that's pretty good. This one. So I've got two that are in pretty nice shape. and two that are obviously genetically inferior. And I got them as rescues. So what are you going to do? I wanted to be able to try them in a no water change, heavily planted dirted tank. These are the little monsters. 3 of the 5 male lepistos that killed the big male Probensis. There's another one, 4 of them. There's 5 of them in there. Platies and checkerboards. Cichlids. Now I've got 5 checkerboards, 3 males and 2 females. The 3 males are always out here. The females are hiding back there somewhere. I've not seen any fry, although I think there's an even likelihood that they've got fry back there. Everybody else is up here, so I think they're being chased away from that area. So there's a good chance there are fry in there, but I haven't seen them yet. Probably won't until they get bigger. Well, lots of platies. The platies are going to all come out. I don't think I'm going to do it this winter because I don't think they'll handle the cold. But next spring, those and the mollies are all coming out. And they're going in vats. Most of these grew out in the vat this summer. And I brought them all in to save them from the winter, but they're going to go back out. This is the saltwater tank or brackish tank with the pupfish. They're doing really well. The tank looks terrible because all the microplants have died, but the fish are doing fine. There's a little goby. He's doing fine. I just saw there's a shrimp back there, a bunch of shrimp. There are some females in here too. I don't know where they are. They're hiding somewhere. There's a shrimp. The glass needs cleaning as well. I've not been able to get out and do any more collecting. And I might not, there's some crabs in here too. Might not be able to this year yet. Down here, we're going to see from the top are the 2 axolotls. There's one there, and there's one back here in the corner. They're doing pretty well. The water's a little cloudy. I don't quite know why. I did a bit of a water change. It may simply be that it's the sand I used. I think that's likely the case. Filtering steadily. I've been feeding worms. I feed 1 worm a day to each of them. I've missed the last 2 days because I want the water to clear up. I want to make sure that that's not what's causing the water to be cloudy, and it does not appear to be. But they look okay. I think they're doing fine. Down below, this is a nice tank. This tank has baby apistos in it that are now half grown. It's always got these bluefin kellies and a whole huge school of them. There's an apisto, a little one. There are more. There are about 20 of them. There's another one. There's another one behind it. So they're all coming out now, becoming more. That's a baby. He's ready to go. That's pretty good. That's an original male. So you can see they're much bigger. Blue fins. And there are a few cory catfish in here. Other than all of that, these are a mix of the apistos. What I'm going to do is pair off those big males I got up top with some females. These have to get a little bit bigger to be able to do that. But that's the long-term game plan. There's a female betta, a 5-color betta I brought back from the clutch. There's a male in here somewhere, crown tail, a blue crown tail. Pretty fish. I don't know where it is. Hiding somewhere. All right. One more. The turtle tank. Oh, let's see. There's a guppy. That's a Japanese blue, delta tail. There's a female killie. This is the old pan shack. Snails. I put two plecos in here. I've seen one twice. They're down in the rocks, I guess. I don't know if I got both of them. I hope I do. I haven't seen the female guppy in a while. My hunch is she's in here. There's the female killie. I saw the male killie earlier today, so I know he's in here. They do all this is a tank where fish hide. He's always out. She's always out. Everybody else is always hiding. So anyway, there it is. It's got some few nice plants in it. That's the female. We do. And that's it. That's the stones. Let's here. We'll get a close up here. Get an uptight look. See. Ooh. Big male apisto. I've got a couple of male apistos in here. I think there are 3 males and 2 females. Like there's a female. There's a male. I haven't seen any fries, so I don't know what that's all about. I think that's a small male. Doesn't look like it. Looks like a female. Some rainbows. I've got fish that I've seen spawning in here, but I've yet to see any frying. It might be that they're not surviving, but with this much cover, they should. There should be something surviving. So far, I've not seen anything. I got about 10 different species of fish. That's a little Formosa. A little tiny, teeny mosquito fish. It's called mosquito fish because it's the size of one. It's a female. The male is smaller. The female does get bigger. These are fungulus, golden top minnows. Stunning fish. There he is. That's, the male and female are very different colors. That's a female. That's a male. The male has kind of an orange tail. The female has sparkles. Her body is covered in sparkles. And there's that. Anyway, it's looking pretty good. I'm going to gradually get these stem plants out and replace them with. I just got a new batch of Aponogetans in, so I might very well do that. Get more Aponogetans in here. They're just a more spectacular plant. And reduce the density somewhat. So not so bad there. Here it's almost unbearable. I did pull a big clump of Vallisneria out this week in the middle here, but you can't even tell. Great, there we go. What's that? Couple of males. That's a female. I think that's a female. There was a recessive male. There's a female for sure. That might be. That's a female. That's a male. That looks like a female, but it's too big. I don't know what it is. Yeah, it's a female. Sure. So they're getting big enough to do something. How to get the fungulus. They don't like to be photographed. They have a real problem with being seen. Harry. Those are little barbs, by the way. They're not barbs. What are they? I don't remember. The fish I got from Peplin Creek. Got some nice fish from Peplin Creek. They do have very nice fish. All right, there's that. We got about half an hour left. Shall we? What can we do now? Any other pets apart from fish? Yes. As a matter of fact, I have a pair of. Isn't it awful? The way the brain just goes click, pink. I'm getting a pair of canaries this week. Something I've been wanting for a while. I located a canary breeder north of me. I'm going to go up there and pick up a pair. So I will have some birds chirping in the background by next weekend. I've got axolotls. You saw them. And I have a pair of porcupine fish. What do they call the It's not a fish. A little mammal. The porcupine animal. The animal with sharp hairs. God, what is it called? It's terrible getting old. No. Chiefong. Hello, Chiefong. Hedgehog. Thank you. Do somebody would save my sorry butt. I've got a pair of hedgehogs, and I think maybe the female is pregnant. I think maybe. She's an old hedgehog, and he's a very young one. I've had him for 6, 8 months, I guess. And I haven't noticed them ever breeding, but then I probably wouldn't because they're nocturnal. Do I use yellow or white lights? I use yellow. I use white lights. I use white lights exclusively, actually. Hedgehogs are funny. They're cute. They are funny. Dedicated trim valve. I don't like to do it. Just learn they grow to 6 foot. Let them grow to 6 foot. I don't like to do it because it creates dead ends. You can't trim them clean enough to keep the edge from dying. So once you do that, you really have lost the leaf. It may take months, but you'll lose the leaf. I just let them grow. I don't trim anything, truthfully. I just yeah, I like hedgehogs too. I had a lot of them at my shop. They were loose in the shop, breeding all. I used to go down the middle of the night and find hedgehogs. I'd even find baby hedgehogs running around. So hedgehogs are kind of fun. I would really like to get a decent pair so I could get them breeding. I'm hoping maybe we got a pregnant female here, but I'm not at all sure. Looking them up to see how to care for them. Pretty simple. They eat cat food. I feed the moist cat food. They seem to like that real well. I had them on grain for a while. It wasn't cool at all. Um, Water and the moist cat food. I don't give them anything else. Occasionally, I'll take them out and give them baths. Although they I think they tend to prefer dust baths, but I give them a wet bath anyway. 3 cats. Well, hedgehogs have got pretty good protection. I think it would take a lot for an animal to get it. A hedgehog. Spacey. Good to see you, Spacey. No young cricket. Badoo. Who else is here? Maureen Menagerie. Hmm. Oh, bludge. Thank you. I like the dense plants. It's a feel that I really enjoy. Hello, Shell. Oh, something I've been wanting to discuss, and maybe we'll wind up with this if it turns into a conversation. I've attended a couple of events. Was at the class recently, enjoyed it, had a good time. But one of the things I noticed is that there was a group, not a big group, a small group, but a very distinct group of people who were excited to meet me. Some of whom claimed to have come to this show specifically because they knew I was going to be there. They wanted to meet me. And it was very nice. There was so much else going on. It really was not opportune to be able to spend time talking with them. But I would have liked to have done that. And I rather think they would too. So here's what I'm thinking. Rather than put out all kinds of money to do this show in Connecticut, which is going to cost thousands and thousands of dollars to do, I'm thinking about doing little local citywide meets in different places of father fish and friends. Get together those people, and somebody suggested the first one I should do should be in Baltimore. I think that's a good idea. Baltimore is kind of my home base. It's where I was involved most heavily early on in fish. I helped found the Baltimore Aquarium, started the first club in Baltimore, had lots of friends. Merle Cohen was one such friend who I knew over a period of many years. So I think maybe Baltimore's a good place to start. I need to get hold of someone in Baltimore who can help me locate a place for us to get together on a Saturday. We can start in the morning and run through the afternoon, maybe even do dinner that evening. Do a 1 day event. We can do whatever we want to do with it. We can do an auction. We can do a trade. We can have a round table and just have a time to really talk and get to know people and to do just that, to get to know each other better and to really get all of our questions answered, get all of the same page about what we're really trying to do. Anyway, that's my idea. And I'd like to get your feedback, see what you think about doing meets, we could call it anything we want. Call it an exchange. What are they? A trade, a swap meet. But make it a real party. Do enough things to make it really interesting. And if we get 25 people, that'll be wonderful. If we get 100, that'll be even better. But a small group would be perfectly fine. A group of 10, 15 people. 2 or 3 will just go hang out somewhere. But I think we could promote an event like that and be able to get, 25, 50 people and make it a really fun time that would be productive and enjoyable for everybody there, and maybe even be able to use that to kick off a club or some kind of group activity that would be ongoing. So give me your feedback. What do you think? Chief Ong is from Quebec. Did I give you a rank? I did. I did. Let's see. Father Fish Swamp with examples of natural tanks. Absolutely. And we could even do demos on setting up tanks. We could have a couple of people do demos. We could talk through it and make it really a much more a much more personal, in-depth kind of experience. Little meets, little meets. Think about doing a meet in a Zoom call. Could easily do Zoom calls. On Discord, we can do Zoom calls at the drop of a hat. And we need to be doing more of that there as well. Where would they be? Probably in a place that would be real cheap, like a fire hall or a church hall, someplace we could get, or even, even maybe a store. I mean, someplace we could get in that would not be an expense to do. That we could have some activities. Love the idea of come to Houston. Well, that's right, Joyce. That's exactly what I have in mind. To be able to kind of kick this off, figure out how to do it by doing it home base nearby, and then go from there. I probably ought to do one right here in Salisbury. But God knows I don't know anybody who's got fish in Salisbury. There got to be a few. Digging them out of the woodwork might be a problem. Baltimore could work, though. Baltimore could work. Now, I have been asked to be the first speaker at a brand new club that meets in Haverty Grace, Maryland. The first meeting will be in November. I'll be it'll be their first meeting, and I'll be their first speaker. So, really excited about that. I'm going to look up the date and the place here. I don't have a place yet. I will announce it as we get closer to it. Doobie-doo, but it'll be in November. And I don't even have it on my calendar. Oh, there it is. It's the 27th. The end of November, after Thanksgiving. Is that it? That ain't it either. That ain't it. That ain't right. I thought I put it down. Veteran selection. It's not October, is it? No, it's not October. It's November. Somehow I didn't put it in my calendar. Oh dear. I have a note on it somewhere here. Not finding a note either. Yeah, school gym would be perfect. Anything at all, any place we get in cheap. Cheap to free. I don't have a date. Which I don't understand because I was sure I put it in, but obviously I'm not as sure as I ought to be. Okay, anyway, that's coming up, and I do have time to get the word out. But I need to. I do have a phone number I can call back to get the date of this thing and nail down the directions. So I'll do that by next week, be able to announce it. All right. Getting hair algae in your dirty tank, any advice? Just start taking it out by hand and add more plants. But be assiduous at it. Take it out if you need to every day, at least once a week. Pull as much out as you can, and keep doing it because eventually you'll defeat it. It won't come back. You'll be able to get it all, and it'll be gone. You also can put some snails in there because snails like mystery snails and ram's horns will eat it, as will neorites. Neon Cricket saying, leave the lights off. The problem with that is you're going to affect all your other plants as well. You can get rid. It is not hard to get rid of. If you let it go, it'll get impossible. But if you work at it, it'll disappear. It really will. It only takes some effort. Within a month, it'll be gone. Schools for Science class project. That's a good idea. Couldn't agree more. Northeast Florida. Northeast Florida. Well, you guys have got Aquashella going on in Daytona coming up this November, Northeast Florida. What more do you want? Rafael Gonzalez. Hello, Father Fish and the Natural Aquarium community. Yes, indeed. Well, that is who we are, isn't it? The Natural Aquarium community. So that's what we need to do. We need to have affairs in different cities for the natural aquarium community. And we could do, God, I don't know how it would be to have 100 people on the cell. We couldn't do that very well, I guess. This is probably closest we can get to doing that kind of thing. Barbara G, start going to meetings and it'll grow. We have a local fish club this weekend. We have 2 guest speakers coming at a local church hall. Husband and wife team talk about catching wild caught. Nice. Really, really nice. Gustavo loves nerites. I do too. I have a friend who found a population of nerites in a ditch in southwest Florida. He brought me a bucket full. And they lasted for years and years. I had them in my tanks and was selling them off. They eventually spawned. They wound up with babies at very, very hard water. Doom Pie, still saying the fish store. The fish store photo, right? Yeah, it's part of it. I think it's part of it. Rob Miller, dirt tank is thriving, well planted. 2-inch potting mix, 4 inches sand, 3 months old, parts now and then. Is that natural? Absolutely is. Taylor Ball just set up my second fatherfish tank. This one is cutting a white algae. It's all in the plants. That's not algae. It is either bacteria, more likely it is fungus. It's a mold. It's very healthy. Don't worry about it. It is not a problem at all. In fact, if you add more fish there, they'll eat it. Snails will eat it too. It's a nutritious. Um, if you think of fungus as a plant, which is sort of, it's in the plant kingdom, I guess. Um, it's a very nutritious condition to have. So nothing to worry about. Get some things in there that are going to eat it. It will promote their health. Does anyone else have a temperate water tank in their collection, meaning along the lines of 60 to 72 with appropriate fish? Yeah, I have 2. The 2 I showed you, the one with the pupfish in it, the brackets water, and of course the axolotls. I think I may need to break that down or change it out. I need to get down to acetate and try one last time to catch some stuff. Because after this, it's going to be too cold to do anything. Camera stopped feeding live. Oh, it did, didn't it? Camera came unplugged. Well, I guess I kicked it. Yeah, it did, didn't it? Came unplugged. Dropping it. Dropping the mic. Dropping the camera. What time is it? 7:50. It's about time to quit. Get the mic hooked back up. I'm gonna have to go offline, and come back on to get this camera working again. So let me do that. Back in a minute. Okay, we're back. I'm going to hook back up here. Come on. I pulled the plug. I need to plug this in differently so it won't pull out. All right, we're getting down to it here. Let's see. Erie is here. Hello, Erie. Nice to see you. Slango foil August Kudla Sam Mochara, he says. Or is it Kara? Chara. PK Tropicals. We saw and lost just that quick. Robert Davis, how long does smell take to go away from deep substrate? Water has a foul smell. 2 weeks old. You need more sand. You don't have enough sand. You should not have any odor at all. There should be absolutely no odor. You need to add at least another inch of sand, if not more. Your dirt is probably substantially deeper than it ought to be. My hunch is you 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 bootstrapped it. You didn't follow directions. You just kind of bootstrapped it. You got problems as a result. So go on, do 2 things: add an inch of sand, get on Discord, and figure out what's going on, how to do this right. Because it won't cause those problems if you do it right. How do I keep in white clouds? Pet shop doesn't carry them. Well, it's the easiest fish in the world for them to get. If they're not carrying, tell them to carry them because their supplier surely has them and they're dirt cheap. Any advice to get rid of cyano? We just went through this earlier. Add plants, stop feeding, add plants. That'll control it. Cyanobacteria is not a problem. Cyanobacteria is the solution to a problem, which is not the most desirable solution. So provide a more desirable solution to the problem of excess nitrates, and then control nitrates by controlling feeding. Father Fish Meetup, yes. Bring neon tetras. Wow. Wow. That's such a cool fish. I love those fish. Starve bacteria. Yeah, the best way to starve bacteria is to add more plants. Get more plants in there. Do you have any videos on aquarium heaters? I don't think I do, actually. Don't think I do. All right, getting down to it. We're 2 or 3. We're 2 or more are gathered in my name. Amen to that, Maureen. Yeah, I think we need to do it. I need to get a coordinator. I need somebody to put these things together. I just don't seem to have the time to get everything done that needs to get done. Dead gone here, he says. Night, Erie. Nice to see you. Good to have you with us. Do you have any videos on creating a 2-gallon bowl tank using the father fish method? Yes, I do. We did a betta bowl about 2 months ago using father fish. We did that. Steak diet's going pretty well. I tend to cheat a little more often than I probably should. So I'm not losing weight, but I'm feeling pretty good. I at least have my diet pretty much under control. I'm not doing carbs. Today I did some birthday stuff. Not a lot, mind you, but I did do some. I ate a few. Ate a strawberry. What else did I eat that was off my diet? Piece of pineapple, I think. Um, I tasted some cake. Didn't really like it that much, although it's a spectacularly beautiful cake. It's just a gorgeous cake. My niece makes professional quality cakes. This she did for her mother. It was a 3-tier, top tier pineapple, second tier pumpkin, third tier chocolate vanilla, and just stunningly beautiful cake. I think I'm losing my taste for sweets. That is a problem. I just haven't had any for months now. But I did eat a bunch of chicken, so I'm kind of satiated for the day. And we just gave a wrench to Matthew. Just got a new tank. For my daughters have a question. Is there any type of topsoil, peat moss, and compost I should stay away from? Not to my knowledge. I don't think there really is. Just be reasonable about it and get what you can. Tubular. Any advice on how to get detritus worms into the tank to break down mold and provide food? Yeah, it's all about the resurrection jar. It's all about collecting from the wild, getting a culture going from the wild. Detritus worms are part of every wild culture, and they're unavoidable. Just need to collect some rotting leaves from anywhere on Earth, and there'll be detritus worms at it, guaranteed. Body's getting better, you're feeling better, and more important than losing weight. That means it's working. The weight will come off eventually. Yeah, I'm not really worried about it. I've lost 30 pounds um, since when did I start this? Around May, I think, June, somewhere along there. So it's only been like 3, 4 months. So that ain't bad. But I hit this weight. I'm at 225. I hit this weight 3 months ago, and it stayed right there within two pounds, up or down. I think I've been down to 24 once. Usually goes up and comes back down. But I've not been nearly as serious about the diet. I mean, I'm not breaking it. Um, I think I've tasted a little bit of ice cream one time, and it was maybe a tablespoon. Um, I've eaten maybe one mouthful of cake, one just forkful of cake, 1 or 2 cookies. And this is in 6 months. So I really have been pretty good about it. I've done more with fruit, like apples. Um, I got frozen blueberries. I haven't gotten into it all. I did freeze some grapes, some of the big ones. I get a few of those once in a while. So I'm staying pretty tight on it. Um, but I haven't tried to go hungry. I think that's the issue. I think I really have to do some fasting if I really want to get serious about losing weight. And I probably should do that. I've never fasted in my life. And it's a discipline I'm not prepared for. But I need to do it. It'd be good for me to do it. Just to experience the I had some dates today. Dates stuffed with goat cheese. Mercy. Mercy. I had two. It was like eating candy. It was incredible. Just they asked me if I wanted to take any home, and my cheeks got red. Wonderful. Ariamboana. Any bacteria in the deep substrate that deal with the phosphate. Phosphate's got to be taken care of by the algae. Don't know. Can't answer your question. Come on over to Discord. We'll get an answer for you over there for sure. I know just a couple of people who can deal with it. Oh, it was wonderful. And there were two different kinds. There was goat cheese, regular goat cheese, and then a pumpkin goat cheese, which kind of blew me away. I didn't even try that. But I love goat cheese anyway. But goat cheese and dates, can you imagine that? It was succulent. It wasn't succulent. It was sinful. That's what it was. If I got female shrimp having a baby, do they need something? Got established tank, well planted, so algae plant. You mean, do you need to feed them? Probably not, because they're going to eat microscopically. And I would just develop a food web. Make sure you got a food web going in there. That'll be more than adequate for them. Michael Swanger needs a wrench. Let's get him a wrench. And then we're going to read. I have a neon tetra question. We have 7, all female, I believe. They're quite aggressive with each other. We feed a little bit twice a day. That's okay. That's okay. Yeah, the males are skinny. Skinny one and the fat one. That's how you sex them. Skinny one and the fat one. Joyce Carrera says, I have 2 fatherfish tanks doing great. Starting one for just mystery snails. That should work out, shouldn't it? Well, I guess so. I would want to put some kind of fish in there. Maybe guppies or some kind of tetra. Maybe something small. I think I would. Something that's not going to bother them, and they're not going to bother. They're not going to bother each other. Kind of a shame not to have some kind of fish in there. Right. Second plant lady, please come visit us on Discord. Absolutely. It's an amazing place, just amazing. Did I give you a wrench? I did, Michelle. All right. I think we're down to it. We're way over. We're 6 minutes over. TK Tropicals. Filter not sifting out sand. Filter not sifting out sand. Don't understand what you mean by that. If it's a hang on the back, it should not lift sand. If the sponge filter, it should not. I don't understand what that means. Not sifting out sand. Fish tank coffee table. The only difficulty with them is getting to the tank. It's kind of a clever idea. I would do it with goldfish. Do a goldfish tank. That would be a nicely decorative. Because goldfish are attractive looking down on them. Most other fish are not. You need to see them sideways to really get a sense of what they are. Everyone have a blessed night. Come visit us on Discord. Conversation continues there. God bless you all. Yes, it does. And God bless all of you. Did I say I love white clouds? I do too. I need white clouds. That's a nice fish to have. There's a new long fin white cloud that's very pricey, but I probably ought to do that. All right, we are done for the evening. Love you all. Bye for now.